I asked the others to stay back while I spoke with Bella myself. I knew I needed to apologize alone. As I walked across the chewing gum and popcorn-covered floor, I imagined what the title of my quest would be if my life was a video game. Quickly, it was becoming Apology Quest, or Legend of Please Forgive Me. I wondered how many other people I'd have to say I'm sorry to before I found Sammy. But that's even where life was taking me. Lately, Sammy wasn't at the forefront of my thoughts. I wanted to find her, and I really wanted her to be safe. But the more time that passed between meeting her and thinking about her, she became less real. More of a concept, more of a mythical being that only existed in my mind and the mind of the internet.
Oh, hey, what's up?
I came here to say I'm sorry. In my infinite arrogance and constant thinking of myself, I didn't look at the record properly. I had no idea you created it. I had no idea it would upset you. So, basically, if you'll still be my friend, I'd very much like that.
Okay, I accept.
Okay, great. I expected to do more begging.
Don't push your luck. Just let it go. Who are... Oh, Michael! Rory! New friends? Hey, new friends!
It was easier than I expected. Now, to convince her about getting the record. I introduced her to Claudio and Chandra. We went to the burger joint and talked about everything that had happened up to this point. I told her about their brother. Rory talked about his sister. Michael talked about his college fears. And I just listened. I never expected to find such an amazing group of friends so close to home. It was a great feeling. And now came the tricky part. To ask her to go inside of the mine dungeon with me and look for the record.
Bella, can I ask you a personal question?
I suppose.
So, I was wondering if you could tell us about the record. The one you made.
What's there to tell? In my previous reality, I made a record. Pretty simple.
Can you tell us why a record jacket from the album you made in another reality that was set to be released next year was found in this reality?
I have no idea. You do realize I left that reality behind intentionally, right? There are reasons I wanted to escape.
Yeah, no, I get it. Just, I wonder if it's somehow linked to everything going on.
I'm telling you, Alex, you're looking for puzzle pieces where there is no puzzle. You're talking like there's some cosmic plan here. What exactly do you think is going on here?
It's all so weird. Sammy disappearing, me meeting you, then Rory, Chandra, and Claudio, we're all linked.
Fine. If it will make you stop sulking, I'll go with you into the mine dungeon. I'd like to know why my record is here myself.
I'm a little confused here, guys. How the hell does Alex know the record is in your mind dungeon?
Because I know she's trying not to think about it, and the things we try not to think about always end up on our minds.
That seems like more of a stretch than the link between Sammy and the record to me. But sure, I've got nothing else to do. Let's get inside Bella's head!
Okay, just keep your hands to yourself while we're in there, boys. It's creepy enough letting one person in my mind.
What are you making today? Making some soup for dinner?
Vela asked us to listen to the record before we broadcasted. There was a certain aura of unease surrounding her. She pretended it had to do with not knowing what would happen after we broadcast the record. But I knew something else was wrong.
So, I bet you're all wondering why I insisted we play this here.
I think it's obvious. You want us to listen to music, and Alex's spoiled ass has the best sound system out of the six of us.
That's actually correct. Back in my reality, I had written an album. This album. But I guess you already knew that. Anyway, just listen. I hope you enjoy what I made.
It's beautiful, Vela.
Yeah, really nice.
Better than I could do.
It's
Nice. Not what I normally listen to. But I can tell it's good for the genre. Probably.
I could tell that she wasn't happy with our replies, but none of us knew what to say. The music had shown us a side of Vela that we had never expected to see, a sort of vulnerable side. I felt compelled to chase after her, to tell her the music was beautiful and that she was incredible. But my feet didn't move. I remained as still and as silent as everyone else. My body motionless. I surveyed everyone's eyes, willing my brain to bind with theirs and get what they had been thinking. Had they all hated it? What had triggered such a lack of enthusiasm?
You should go after her. It's what I'd want. Let her know it was great.
If this is Vela's album, why was a guy singing on it?
I almost cried.
I hope she's okay. You gonna talk to her, man?
Hey man, sorry I haven't called lately.
Can't deal with this now.
Oh yeah, sorry. Anyway, she's at the playground. Go get her, Tiger.
I want to tell you the rest of my story. How I came to be in this reality with you. But I want you to promise not to judge me.
I won't judge you.
I have come to understand certain things. Things I know to be true. Things that I know others wouldn't understand unless they had experienced them. Before I can begin my story, I need you to understand the basics of how I have come to understand the universe. The link between our bodies and physical space is strong, but it is nothing compared to the link between our minds and physical space. Our bodies exist as a visual representation of our minds. They are nothing more. Every mind has the capability of transcending physical form. Many do, even if they don't realize it. The very nature of physical reality is very unphysical. Humans have evolved to ignore the complexities and realities of the universe by using physical form to protect them from the harshness of existence. The very nature of being is to be in pain, is to long for and to be unfulfilled. To cope, we developed corporeal form. The use of physical form is not unlike leaving the light off at all times, obstructing the undesirables in the room. Do you understand what I'm saying so far?
More or less. Please, continue.
When I entered your reality, I was a much different person than I am now. My reality was much worse than this one. I was a girl who was entirely lost. From a young age, people thrust their expectations on me. They believed I was destined for artistic greatness. I was a child prodigy in many ways. I had peaked by my early teens, and I was no longer able to perform or create at a level that could match the adults around me. I was, for all intents and purposes, a disappointment. Picture for a moment being a young girl who can't do wrong. Everything I created, everything I said impressed those around me. I was the perfect child artist, but that's all I ever was. When I became an adult, my body grew, but my artistry remained childlike. I considered quitting piano, considered removing myself from art altogether, but something pulled me back. Somewhere along the course of my life, I had developed an artist's mentality. I knew I wasn't a good adult artist, but I was still compelled to create. And with each new thing I tried, I continued to disappoint those around me. It was May 22nd, 1996, when I met the man who would fix this for me. At 3:02 a.m., I walked into a music club in the city. He was on stage, playing to a small but enthusiastic audience. Each note he played on his guitar seemed to tell me something that I had always known but had never really understood. After he finished, I knew that I had to speak with him. It wasn't before long that we became both romantically and artistically involved. It was as if knowing him had somehow broken the seal around my mind that was preventing me from creating something worthwhile. The lack of refinement to his playing freed me from the confines of rhythmic and artistic regularity. I don't mean to suggest that he was lacking in technical refinement, just that a certain jubilation came through in his playing that I had never experienced. Our relationship was like a whirlwind of physical and emotional affection. Never had I given myself to someone so literally and spiritually before. Together, we wrote A Distant Voice, and I knew that I still had the hopes of being not only a good artist, but an interesting human being. Something terrible happened on May 22nd of 1997. At 3:02 p.m., his daughter had come home and found us together. He hadn't yet told his children about me. I was a much younger woman. He followed her out and into a coffee shop. I waited for them to return, hating myself more and more for entering his life and making it difficult. I waited there until 3:02 a.m., completely beside myself. And the strange thing is, he never returned. He never came back into his own apartment. I stayed there for a few days, knowing he'd have to come back eventually, and he simply never did. I called his friends, I called his manager, and they all said they hadn't seen him. Just like that, he slipped through the cracks of my reality and never returned.
And you never saw him again?
I did. It was May 22nd, 1998, 12:01 p.m. A minute into the first concert I had put on since his disappearance. I had refused to do our music live or release A Distant Voice until I had seen him again. Finally, legal pressure forced me to schedule a release for May 22nd, 1999, with a year-long tour to promote it. I watched in terror from behind my piano as he wrapped his arm around a girl even younger than I. This girl was not his daughter, though she was probably his daughter's age. I left the stage and receded into myself. The man who placed his arms around that young woman was not the same man who placed his arms around me so many times. It couldn't have been. The man I knew would not have put on such a display of affection, knowing it could hurt someone so much. It was in that moment that I longed to leave my reality behind, to sever my ties to my physical form and exist in a different space. For many days, nights, minutes, seconds, I sat in my bed, slowly drifting further into my own depression, slowly pulling my mind from my body. When the separation happened, it was almost immediate. It was so sudden that the painful moments leading up to it felt trivial. I was just my mind, and I had left my physical body behind. I floated until I found a reality that seemed different from mine, hoping to find a reality that contained the him I knew, hoping that he had fallen into this reality, and we could be together again.
Was his voice the one we heard on the record?
No, it wasn't. I don't know whose voice we heard. I was so nervous sharing that music with you guys, I almost didn't realize it wasn't me singing.
Well, everyone loved it. It was amazing.
Really? I can never tell what people think when I show them my songs. Well, what should we do now? Lead the way.